Hey, shalom, fan. At this time, may the peace of y'all be reaching every one of you brothers and sisters. This is y'all, Yaziquah, Caleb, Israel, y'all. At this time, coming before you to be sent to you the true words of y'all once again, brothers and sisters. And we're gonna examine some things of the past, and I got some information from the scriptures dealing with the Hebrew writings, yes, and the falsification of the New Testament. But first, we're going to examine this because when it came over the New Testament, the Europeans did, brothers and sisters, they came forward with a name, and when they claimed as a Messiah, Jesus. They called him Jesus the Christ. And so this is exactly what you see the day was going on. The Hebrew people, they switched the name. Once they came to the knowledge of who they are, they switched the name and started saying Yahushua. Yes, the name that would identify Hebrews back in the day. Like, Yahshua. Some people say Yahushua. Some people say Yahusha, Yahushai. But nevertheless, this one I call him Yahshua, the one of the son of Ben Nun, or some people say Nat. They came and brought the children of Israel into the land of Canaan and conquered it. So we had people by that name before. But now, the Christian came up with this concept. The Hebrews, all they did take the same lie and switch the name. But it's still the same lie, regardless what name you choose. So we're going to look at this information I have right here, found in this Bible called the American Bible, the New American Standard, Open Bible. So we're going to look at this information right here, brothers and sisters, real quick. You can find this in the back of the book. It say the English Bible and its development. So we're going to look at this section right here called the Latin Bible. So we're going to read a little information here briefly. It's very important information to look at right here. Let's read it. So it reads right here. It says, it is with the coming of St. Augustine in 597, from 597 AD, that any factual history of Christianity in England must begin. We do not know if Saint Augustine actually had a Bible with him, though we are sure that there were hundreds of passages of the scriptures, especially the Psalter, and stored in his mind among the gifts of Pope Gregory to the earliest church at Canterbury. Soon thereafter were a Gregorian Bible and the 2 volumes, 2 copies of the Gospels, 2 Psalters, and expositions of the epistles and Gospels for several Sundays, all adorned with silver or jewels. Here is the beginning of the history of the scriptures in Britain. What kind of Bible would Pope Gregory send to Augustine? It would have to be a Latin Bible, not a Hebrew Old Testament. You see what they call it? Hold on, I'll get with you. Not a Hebrew, not a Hebrew Old Testament. So keep that in mind. Then it say, or a Greek New Testament. You see the distinctions that I read there, brothers and sisters? They show you two different Bibles. They call the Hebrew Bible the Old Testament. That's no such thing, brothers and sisters. That's what their terminology. But they show you in the original Hebrew Bible, there was no such thing of a New Testament Bible. This teaching comes from the Greek philosophy. All they did, they just took information. They took information. They took information. You can see that from the Hebrew text and put it inside the New Testament. And then they took the two books and put them together eventually. So let's all look at this again, brothers and sisters. Right here. It said, not a Hebrew Old Testament, what they call it, or a Greek New Testament. And this, I'm trying to see the word, I'm looking through my mind, deserves. Let me find a place. This deserves it said this deserves, I'm trying to look at the word, I can't see the word on my mind, it deserves brief consideration. But by the 3rd century of the era, most people in the western province of Rome Empire knew very little Greek, even in Rome. If they were to have a Bible, it must be a Latin version, the language that was spoken throughout most of the Mediterranean world. When and how Latin Bibles were replaced by the English Bibles, which could be read by laity, is what we now want to consider. So keep that in mind, brothers and sisters. If you read through this, they go through all these different time periods of people translating Bibles and how people added things, and then they put it all in, especially in the New Testament. They put it all rearranged in all kinds of orders. These people, different people they call scholars, that came up with all these different translations. That's why you can get in a translation. It varies from one to the next. You know something wrong with that, brothers and sisters. At one time, the Hebrews never had nothing to do with the New Testament concept and translation. That was crafted up by European people, even the Greeks themselves, according to this writing. At one time, the English didn't even know nothing, didn't know how to read the Greek translation of the New Testament. It came later when they put the two books together and say the two is one. And this is why people believe the two books is one, because they took. These people did this, been working on this for years, brothers and sisters. Like this time about around 1,400 years ago. They've been working on this information in the colleges. We think they got these schools, the institutions of research, and some people dedicate their whole life. Like they say this guy right here. They say the guy right there, Venerable Beatty, he dedicated his whole life. He said, look, the greatest British scholar in the first half of the 8th century was Venerable Beatty. They said no one equal him for the next 500 years in British and a knowledge of the scriptures. He said his own confession is significant. He said, I gave all of my attention to the study of the scriptures. He said, from the time that I received the decree of the priest's orders unto the 59 years of my age, AD 731, Beatty writings were in Latin. but he did undertake the translation of the gospel, see, into the Anglo-Saxon, and on the very day of his death was was dictating his translation of John's gospel. None of these translations have come down to us. This is St. Aldenham, D. 709, also translated the Psalms, but these do not exist today. You see that, brothers and sisters? And then if you keep reading through this, you'll see how they fouled these texts up, brothers and sisters. Especially how they say they fouled up the Gospels. If you're going to read this whole thing, I'm not going to read into all that, brothers, so I'm going to make this short as possible. And then that's how our brothers come from the new text. They come with switching of the name that is false anyway. The whole New Testament is made up, brothers and sisters. They crafted this New Testament up with all of their lies, with all of their deception. And that's how they deceive the minds of the people, brothers and sisters. These are the facts, brothers and sisters. This is the reality. It's sad. A lot of brothers don't study this stuff deeply, brothers and sisters. Even in these scriptures, sometimes they have the information that you can see what these people did. All they did was tamper with the Hebrew text and came up with their own writing. The Greeks did it. And then later on, they put the two books together. And that's why when people pick up a Bible and they see all these books in one book, and they think this how it wasn't like that in the beginning. Because the officer to tell you, all the prophets had it, whoever recorded their writing was individual books and letters and documents that they comprised together and bind it into one book. Right there they show you, right there when I just read it, look at this, one more time. You say, it would have to be a Latin Bible, not a Hebrew, what they call Old Testament. It wasn't called Old Testament, that's what they call it. Or a Greek New Testament. These people know something. They know something because that way they was dealing back then. They knew the Hebrew text was their own individually text. That's why they call it new. To make the distinction who wrote this. They know that. See, all of this is code words they use. The new, the old, code words in their own language. Like what they laugh at. They know what their ancestors do when they trace these things back. What they people done. They know somebody crafted these things up. And they probably didn't even know how messed up the minds of the people was gonna be today over this. Or how the lack of knowledge they would have over this. And like our people just coming in the back. And we getting this knowledge last. So we've been so taken by falsehood for so long. To be believing with all our heart. Then when the facts come out, you just like it's hard to accept that. Because you've been taught in one way. You've been taught a lie so long till you believe the lie. Then once the lie started being put out to you, it's hard for you to receive the truth because you learn to love the lie. You learn to love all the stories of the lie. This stuff been going on for a long time, brothers and sisters. Way before you was born, before your grandmother was born, your great-great-great-grandmother was born. They've been translating the New Testament for a long time. They're still revising it over again, revising it, renewing it, adding stuff and taking stuff up. Like a man from the house of Yahweh just came out with a Bible. See, people always, while we're talking, people working on new translations, adding words and taking out words to fix it up. This is nothing new with the translators, brother and sister. It's just new to you. They've been tampering with. Look at this right here. Look at all these different translations. They got a book. They got a book called the Book of Almag. They got the Latin Bible. They got the First English Bible. They got Landisfern Gospels, whatever that is. I ain't even looking into that yet. They got the Almanum Gospel and Acts right here. They got the Psalms in early Middle English right here. They got the Wycliffe version. They got the Gutenberg Bible. What else we got right here? We got the Tinsdale Bible. We got the right there the Miles Coverdale Bible. We got the Cranmer Bible right here. We got the Great Bible. We got the Geneva Bible. We got the Bishop Bible. We got the Rams Bible and the Dorsey Bible right here. We got the King James Version. See, the King James Version is one of the lists of the lines. People are like, oh, that is the greatest Bible ever. Man, that's bull crap, man. Bull. That's one of the last ones on the list, and a lot of people get all hyped. That's not even finished yet. We got the English Revised Version. We got the American Standard Revised Version, and to the point of other versions. There's so many, brother. I ain't even get to this one. We got the Revised Standard Version. We got the Holy Scriptures according to the Masoretic text, a new translation of the Torah. We got the Amplified Bible. We got the Good News for Modern Man. We got the Jerusalem Bible. We got the New American Bible. We got the Living Bible. The Living Bible, that's the one I read out of a lot. That's an okay translation according to the translations. We got the New American Standard Bible. We got other major versions since 1950. On and on, brothers and sisters. This thing goes. That's how it is, brothers and sisters. They've been working on the change, to change you. Think about that, brother. They're working on this change, to change you. Think about it. That's what they've done to us, brothers and sisters. They kept changing the word, but the New Testament's all fouled anyway. But they changed that to try to make it better. Brothers, I wanted to see something. I caught my eye something about I wanted to see what it say. Something about the Lindisfarne Gospel. Probably the first attempt to bridge this linguistic gap in literary composition that still exists. The beautiful Lindisfarne Gospels in Latin. The original written about AD 70 in a unsold English-Irish script containing the interlinear translation written by Anglo-Saxon, added about AD 950, about AD 1000, Pitt celebrated Alfric, of whom it has been rightfully said he is among the first to stand out individually in the records of his contemporaries as one that labored to make the scriptures available to English scholars in their native tongue. He produced sermons in the West Saxon tongue, wrote commentaries on the certain books of the Bible, and composed and condensed versions of the first 7 books of the Old Testament. So let me keep on that, and languages changes, however, were rapid then. By 1300, the Anglo-Saxon language of King Alfred and Alfric had become almost obsolete, and yet, as a distinguished authority has recommended us from the days of Alfred to the time of Chaucer, the language of English people had a continuous history, although it underwent many vicissitudes, suffered great changes, and it is this persistence of English tone and spirit gradually regaining its ascendancy after having been overlaid for 3 centuries by a culture of the Normans that gave these Anglo-Saxon manuscripts their chief significance for us. We discern in these ancient versions some permanent core of base speech that holds even from age to age and constitute our English idioms the most English part of the English tongue. For 200 years after Norman's conquest, AD 1066, French remained the language of ordinary intercourse among the upper classes of conquered Britain. But in the 13th and 14th centuries, its maintenance became increasingly artificial. In the 14th century, English won its way back into universal use, and in the 15th century, French all but disappeared. You see that, brothers and sisters? That's what they said went on. Dealing with this linguistic gospel and how they translated these different versions. And why you see any different versions, the word play change. Yes, these are the facts of their time. These are the things these people done, brothers and sisters, with how they tamped with these scriptures. They wrote their own text and all. Not even on the Hebrew text. Then they took from the Hebrew text. I had something, but I didn't mark it down here, so I can't share that with you. So, brothers and sisters, these are things that you can find in these books when you search these things out and search for these records and how they came up here. Now I'm going to read something. I see something right here. Let's see what that is about. It's the Gutenberg Bible between Wycliffe 1384. Let's say 1456. There appeared the first book printed with movable type, the Gutenberg Bible, which was to be ushered in a whole new era for the Western man. See, you see that right here. This Bible was the right here, ushering a new era for the Western man. Now, see, universal literacy and universal education were now possible, though not yet reality. Before that century ended, America had been discovered by Christopher Columbus. That's what they say. They say in 1516, Erasmus published the first Greek New Testament ever to appear in print. Let's get that right here. It said right here. Let me get that right here. It's America had been discovered by Christopher Columbus in 1516. Erasmus published the first Greek New Testament ever to appear in print, which exercised an enormous influence on the subsequent biblical translations. In 1517, Luther nailed his 95 of these to the church door at Wittenberg. The Reformation may be said to have begun in Switzerland. In 1519, and Calvin began his famous work in Geneva in 1541. This is the period of the reign of Henry VIII. At that period, see right here, it say the whole new era for the Western man. See, to bring forth, they say this Gutenberg Bible, to bring forth their doctrine from the Greek philosophy, the first Greek New Testament. See, this was the composition they came up with their own ideology, with their own theology, with their own dogma, doctrine, theology. You get it, brothers and sisters, what they done. They compiled the Hebrew writings, some of it, and mixed it in with these stories. They fabricated stories, they made up stories, they fairy tales into a New Testament. Why do you think they call it a New Testament? That was their new agreement. That was their new teachings. The Hebrew writing was always the Hebrew writing. They came up with their own concept. They combined it, they way of life, they foolishness, with the Hebrew, some of the Hebrew writing, and made it one. For this purpose. The whole new era for the Western man. Universal literacy, universal education were now possible. You see that, brother? So they've been planning this and plotting this for way back. Still want to bring this whole world into one order, under one religion. Why do you think they go around handing you out pocket Bibles just with the New Testament? They create philosophy. That comes from the Western world philosophy. We got to tame a mixture with the Hebrew and without dogma, our teachings. We made it one. We bring this joint and make it this universal, brothers and sisters. Many of our people go for this, but I'll give you this. I'll share this with you. Let's see, can I find a little bit more information right here before I close this up? You got to know how to read between the lines, brothers and sisters. This way, when you read this, you can see stuff right here. In this, we trace this, show you the distinction right there. The Hebrew text with the Hebrew text. They call it, see, that's why when they explain it to you, like the trailer right here in this book, putting this information in there. But they're reading this to you in their way of thinking. That's why they say the Hebrew Old Testament. With the Hebrew mind, you know about the Hebrew. It's the writings of the prophets that was inspired by Yah. They would tell you they'll put everything together and say the Old Testament. And so all people go around and say the Old Testament, New Testament, the whole doctrine teaching them theirs. So when you talk in a mannerism, you're speaking with a mind of a Greek. Or English, or Western, not. If you put them all in the basket, you're speaking in the Western mindset. See, they're always out trying to do the next man. That's like they say this other man, nobody could equal this one man. For 500 years. Beatty. I think it's enough of that, brother. So I could go on, I can show you more information in this, but enough, you get the knowledge of it. You get to see what they've done to you. And how they push this down to our people today, brothers and sisters. I don't have to carry this video to 30 minutes. I shouldn't have to. Brothers and sisters, I do this in love to point these things out to you, and this is in their writings. Look at this right here. This is the Geneva Bible. Just a little bit on that. This is the most accurate version up to the authorized version of 1611. The Geneva Bible, during the reign of Queen Mary, 1533 to 1538. No Bible was printed in English, but a group of scholars in Geneva produced an English version called the Geneva Bible in 1560, with a second edition in 1632. The New Testament was edited. You see that? They had edited. Okay, they edited the New Testament by William Whittingham, who was married to Calvin's sister. Calvin wrote an introductory epistle for the first time, marginally notation, called Attention to the Variations in the Greek manuscript. This was the first English version to use the number verses as separated paragraphs. This was the Bible used by Shakespeare's John. Okay, and it said used by Shakespeare, John Bunyan, Oliver Cromwell, and so fervently used by the Puritans, designated as the People's Book. It held a preeminent place among the English version for 75 years. This was the Bible brought over on the Mayflower from 1560 to 1644, 140 editions of the Geneva Bible appeared, the first Bible to be printed in Scotland was the Scottish edition of the Geneva Bible in 1579, the verse division. So you get that, brothers and sisters. Let me go down and read a little bit. Let's say right here a little bit more. The Geneva Bible appeared, the first Bible to be printed in Scotland. I read that. Go down a little bit. In 1579, the verse division of Robert Estienne, if I got his name right, originally employed in his Greek New Testament in 1551, were used. This was the first Bible to be printed in Roman type instead of the old black letters. You get that, brothers and sisters. You get this history. It got written. The New Testament got Greek philosophy, doctrine written all over it, brothers and sisters. You see that? That's why Greek. That's why why then they say Jesus in the first Bible you see in the 1611 Bible they got Jesus. It's Greek, brother. It's fucking Greek. Father, forgive me for the word, but it's Greek. And I can't edit none of this out. It's Greek, brothers. Father, forgive me, but it's Greek. Okay, regardless what name you call the Messiah, it's still Greek philosophy. And they added this in there, brothers and sisters, to deceive you. Brothers and sisters, it's Greek. The Hebrew Bible is the Hebrew book. The Greek book is the New Testament. Why you think they said, before you ever could say, so you don't want to add these names and take it from out of, you do the same thing the Greeks did. They took the Hebrew writing and mixed it in with it, and then you take this, you drag a name, the name that the Hebrews use, and put add a red. You take out. Nah, that's because they book. That's why it's right. They put in there Jesus, IESUS. Then they changed it to Jesus. See, they always revived, renewing things. It's all for the Western unification. Man, they're making up a Messiah they own, to try to win the whole world over to their philosophy, brothers and sisters. It's always been a scheme for the longest, and they did it with their Bible. I hope you start believing Yah and understanding these things better, brothers and sisters. I shouldn't have to show you nothing. I went over 30 minutes. I didn't want to, but I did because I love you. And it's very important to show you these things, brothers and sisters. And how they brought this thing right through slavery, brothers and sisters, on the Mayflower. From 1560 to 1644. And I heard in Virginia, the first slaves came into America in that part in 1619. And the Geneva Bible was hanging around, teaching this Greek philosophy. And in 1611, everybody knows that when I seen one, they say he's Zeus all the way, all day long. Sure, it come from Greek. And who is their sun god? Zeus. That's who in the New Testament they have you to worship. Why you think in the Hebrew writing you never see a name like Jesus, which is Zeus in there? They give you that name because it show you. That's it, brother. If you don't believe it, ain't nothing else I can show you and tell you. Translate these self, brothers and sisters. Put the two and two together. Why do you think this name appeared in the New Testament? That's their own book. To get you to worship. Every time you say a Messiah came, you worship Zeus. You Hebrew people from Chicago that make coming. I think y'all come to attack me. And the words you go against your own family and you help the Western man out. Every time you try to come up, then use the Hebrew name, but claim this Zeus that died for you. And when the Father paid the tape to the prophets, in Ezekiel 43 and 49, when the third temple be built, we got to go back and be reconciled back to Yah through the blood atonement through the offering of an animal for a sin offering. With that, that's all I got to say at this time, brothers. Shalom.